Yo, what's going on, you guys? KG Presents back out with another video, and today I'm here with some more fantasy basketball sleepers that you should definitely draft this upcoming fantasy basketball season. Of course, the basketball season is literally right around the corner. The season is starting in just under 2 weeks, and I'm here today to provide you with some sleepers I think you should draft. So if you're all ready, I'm ready. Let's get into today's video and let's get started. So the first player I think you should draft is Jalen Johnson. Now, he's not a sleeper by any means, considering that in most drafts he is going in the mid-40s so far this upcoming fantasy season. However, I think that's more of his floor for this upcoming season, because just looking at the preseason game against Indiana, the guy literally did everything. I know it's a preseason, but he was very impressive out there on the court. In only 22 minutes of action, he scored 19 points, he had 10 rebounds, and he had really good efficiency in 22 minutes, shooting 66.7 from the field goal range. Obviously, that's not going to hold true the entire season, but I just know that Trae Young is going to be absolutely feeding him this upcoming season. Of course, he did break out last year, averaging, I believe, it's like 16 and 9 rebounds or so for the entire season, and now he's clearly the second best option on this Atlanta Hawks team following the DeJounte Murray trade, where Murray got traded to the New Orleans Pelicans. Someone on this Hawks team is going to need to step up and take the next jump, and it's going to be Jaylen Johnson. I'm telling you right now. Obviously, ESPN, Yahoo, and all the leagues are accounting for that because he's in the mid-40s. But I think this is floored. I think he potentially could be a top 30 player this upcoming season. I might be wrong, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a great opportunity to draft Jalen Johnson this season. Next player I think you should draft is Ivica Zubac. I'm very high on him this season. He was very solid last year, don't get me wrong, but his output was a little suppressed due to low minutes and lack of usage, which should definitely go up following the departure of Paul George. There is no Paul George, obviously, but they also don't have any backup bigs besides Mo Bamba, who obviously isn't the best player. So Zubac can be pretty good this season. He's going to get more touches this year, and with Harden, that should definitely be able to help as well. So his scoring potentially could go up a few points per game as well. He's also given a 3-year extension, so they clearly believe in him as a starter going forward. I truly believe he can put up something like 15-10 this season with pretty good field goal percentage. Nearly about 1.1 to 1.3 blocks per game this year. He's probably going to be going lower than he should be, but obviously, again, plus Kawhi is having some injury issues as well, so we have to take that in consideration as well. So Zubac is going to be having more opportunity this season, more minutes and everything, so of course that's going to lead to potentially a better fantasy season for Ivica Zubac. So I would think taking a chance on him is pretty good. He's pretty serviceable regardless, so even if he doesn't hit his absolute ceiling, he's definitely going to have a very solid floor. So take a chance on Zubac. Be sure to draft him in your draft this season. Next up, I think you should draft Brandin Podziemski of the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, there are a lot of questions regarding the Warriors and how their rotation is going to line up, considering they have Podziemski, D'Anthony Melton, and they also add Buddy Hield as well this offseason. Now, at the end of last year, of course, we all know that Klay Thompson was benched for Brandin Podziemski, so I fully expect Brandin Podziemski to be the starter for this upcoming NBA season. He did start the first preseason game. However, last night, at the time of recording this, he did come off the bench. He still played 30 minutes, but he did come off the bench, so that's something to take note of. Eric Pods averaged 5.8 rebounds during his rookie season, which puts Podziemski in the 98th percentile among NBA guards. In addition to a typical rebounding volume, Podziemski could erupt as a shooter and score in the wake of Klay Thompson's departure from the rotation. Offseason buzz suggests that the team is ready to feature the second-year guard. And I agree. I think Brandin Podziemski will be the starting shooting guard this season. I believe Buddy Hield will come off the bench more of like a 6-man role this season. And that's what D'Anthony Melton will do as well, along with Kyle Anderson and everything. So I think Podziemski is going to be starting. So if he does start, obviously, more minutes, more playing time, more opportunity for Podziemski this upcoming season. So I think you should definitely take a chance on him with one of your picks later on in the NBA draft. And of course, now let me back up why I believe that you should be drafting Brandin Podziemski. Now, of course, I mentioned prior that some people are going to say that he's not going to be playing as many minutes and all that because of the addition of Buddy Hield and everything. But here's why. So I don't think Golden State Warriors would have let Klay walk so easily if they weren't planning on playing Pods more this season. He's going to be getting 30 minutes a game for sure, potentially 33 as well. He's clearly been taken under Steph Curry's wing, and I gotta believe in offseason that Steph Curry's shooting and training partner is going to pay dividends on the court this season. Now, we also heard that Steve Kerr has been open about wanting Pods to shoot 8 to 10 threes a game. Assuming he makes 37.5% with reasonable assumptions similar to what he did last year, we may be ultimately be looking at a player who averages over 3 threes a game, which is obviously a very good thing, not only for the NBA, but of course for basketball as well. I like Pods to score more threes this season, I think he's going to be doing a pretty good job at that. He's an underrated defender, and I think he's good for a steal plus a game, and he's probably somewhere in about 0.5 to 0.7 blocks a game or so too, and I think it's going to be pretty good. His assist numbers as a rookie weren't exceptionally high. However, considering his usage and the other players he was playing with, averaging 4 to 5.5 assists a game is actually better than I think he's going to be doing this season. So regardless, those are my reasonings. I might be wrong. You can say I'm wrong, but take a chance on him late round in the draft. He might surprise you this upcoming season. Next up, we have Taylor Hendricks from the Utah Jazz. So the Jazz fans last year got the opportunity to see more of the rookie at the end of the season, following Markkanen going down with a shoulder injury at the end of the season. So he started 23 of the final 26 games last season, and in those 26 games, he averaged 9.3 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.6 steals plus blocks during that span. Obviously, there's going to be a whole ton of competition for him this upcoming season. Of course, Cody Williams, and plus, as well, of course, Markkanen, John Collins, Walker Kessler, we all know them on the roster. But of course, during the preseason here, Hendricks has started 2 of the preseason games for the Utah Jazz, and John Collins did come off the bench. Obviously, we can't really look too far into preseason numbers because we don't really know how it's going to play out. However, it is definitely very interesting to see Taylor Hendricks starting over John Collins, and that very well could lead into the regular season as well. Still, Hendricks possesses singular skills that give him a legitimate shot at the 4 this season. His multi-category contributions allow him to make an impact all over the floor for the Utah Jazz. During the span earlier this last season, I should say, Hendricks averaged 4.13 points per game and converted them at a 40.1% clip. His 6'9", 215-pound frame also makes him useful in the paint, where he obviously averaged 6 rebounds in the season's final weeks. So, I think you have a chance on him. I think he can be pretty good this upcoming season for the Utah Jazz, especially if they leave John Collins on the bench. Now, of course, we had the whole situation going on there. Markkanen starting at the 3, of course, John Collins started at the 4, and you also have Walker Kessler there and everything. And it's going to be a bit of a battle, don't get me wrong. But I do believe that the Utah Jazz will focus more on Taylor Hendricks than John Collins. Again, the Utah Jazz are a young team. They're trying to still find what they have and what they don't as they build for the future. John Collins, no offense to John Collins because he's a solid player, he's not really the future for the Utah Jazz. Taylor Hendricks is now entering his 2nd NBA season, and he's going to be part of the future for the Utah Jazz, so I think there'll be more emphasis on him this season. If he's starting and getting those 30 minutes a game, I think it's going to be pretty huge for Utah Jazz, of course, as well as Taylor Hendricks, making him a great fantasy basketball asset this upcoming season. Now, for example, the first game of the preseason against the Rockets, he had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and only 22 minutes of action. So, of course, that's going to be pretty solid for a backhand pick later in the draft, and that's why I think he's a sleeper, because I think he will perform better than his ADP this upcoming season. So, take a chance late on the draft on Taylor Hendricks. You might be surprised. Let's see how things play out this season. Last but not least, we have Dyson Daniels on the Atlanta Hawks. Now, of course, this is a bit of a dart throw on my end, don't get me wrong, but I think there's some chance here that things go pretty well for Dyson Daniels. Of course, this offseason, he was traded from the Pelicans to the Atlanta Hawks into the Dejounte Murray trade. Now, Bogdanovich will replace Murray in the starting shooting guard spot, I'm assuming. That makes sense considering he's been starting in the preseason. So if that's the case, the 21-year-old is still in for a heavy workload and consistent starting minutes, regardless of him coming off the bench. So Daniels has only started 27 games in his 2-year career, but the glimpses fantasy managers have seen in the potential indicate potential, which we saw last season when McCollum went down. Dyson Daniels was pretty good, and he was pretty much a must-add, for all these players around the fantasy basketball league because he was playing so well. Now, because of that glimpse and potential we saw for Dyson Daniels, it only makes sense. He's going to be getting more minutes this season with the Atlanta Hawks, so he's going to be having much more opportunity this season. The guard has shown also incredible skills on the defensive end as well. His offensive skills still need improvement, don't get me wrong, he's by no means a finished product, but he has the opportunity to increase his production on that end by easing the scoring burden of Trae Young this season, and I think it's going to be pretty solid. So let's see how things play out for Dyson Daniels on the Atlanta Hawks. Again, they also need players to step up on the Hawks. I told you earlier that Jalen Johnson is going to be the one that steps up big time for the Atlanta Hawks, but they still need someone else. Is it going to be Bogdanovich or is it going to be Dyson Daniels? Who knows? Regardless, hope you all enjoyed today's video. Hopefully these players are going to help you in your fantasy basketball draft this season. Hopefully take you towards winning an NBA championship for your fantasy basketball league. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.